Well, good morning. It's Friday morning. We're sitting out here on the front porch with strong coffee because I promised I would. Reading from Matthew 13:47 through 50. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net that was thrown into the sea and gathered fish of every kind. When it was full, men drew it ashore and sat down and sorted the good into containers, but threw away the bad. So it will be at the end of the age. The angels will come out and separate the evil from the righteous and throw them into the fiery furnace. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. I think that Jesus obviously is well aware of how ancient people fished. They just had a net, and they scooped up all the fish in the sea that they could. The sea being what we would call Lake Galilee, a small inland body of water. So they would scoop up whatever fish were in there, in this net, drag it ashore, and then sort it. Now, there are always going to be fish that you don't want to eat. There are always going to be fish that are diseased or injured or something, the wrong fish. So they throw those away and keep only the ones that they could sell. This was something that everybody in Galilee would have seen happening all the time on the edge of the Sea of Galilee. This is something that they'd be very familiar with. Parables are like that. They take a familiar, everyday experience and use it to demonstrate something about the kingdom of God. And here Jesus says, well, the angels will separate the good from the bad. And the good they will admit into the kingdom of God, and the bad will be thrown into a fiery furnace. Jesus, like many people in his day, tended to use the images of Gehenna as the place of judgment. Now, Gehenna refers to the valley of what we call the Valley of Hinnom, outside of Jerusalem, which was basically a garbage dump. It's where they threw the trash, and it was perpetually on fire. So it was burning, and you threw your trash into this smoldering fire. When I was a boy, around Charleston, there'd be piles of sawdust, bigger than a house. And they always looked kind of cool. Let's go play in the sawdust. My parents said, you never, ever, ever climb one of those piles because A, you'd sink down into it and asphyxiate, and B, even if you didn't choke to death or be unable to breathe, it's probably on fire and there's heat down in there, and you would be burned. We had a somewhat similar experience with a trash can full of grass clippings one time, and it had to wait a few days for the trash men to come, and there was no rain, and I noticed it was getting very, very hot. And the clippings down in there just sort of spontaneously set themselves aflame, not really flaming, but smoldering, burning. That's the kind of place that Gehenna was, and that's the kind of thing that Jesus uses as the image of where do you get rid of the waste that you don't want? You throw it into that fire. Where do you get rid of the people? You throw them into the fiery furnace. Now, of course, the fiery furnace is also an image from Daniel. Jesus would have been familiar with, where Daniel and his friends were thrown into the fiery furnace to be burned alive, and then rescued by some say Jesus himself, but some angel came and rescued them. And so he's playing with all these images and getting people to see that if you want to be a part of the kingdom of God, you have to follow him. That's enough for today. It's getting chilly out here on the old porch, John, and so we'll see you tomorrow.